I mean, I think she was just looking for, it's not even clear to me if she was even upset by it. She was just looking for ways to dig into you and use it as pretext to legally harass you.
In the timeline, every single time I paid her, there was abuse right beforehand. She wants to go do something on Valentine's Day with her boyfriend, maybe. I'm getting abused that day. I send money. There's receipts every single time I was abused of me sending money right after. I'm trying to keep the peace.
Right.
I don't know if it's like a dog hearing a bell, like you're about to get a treat. I knew when I was getting abused, I'm opening up my checkbook.
Because she'll stop.
She'll stop.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of easier for you to just give in to her, to pacify her.
I sent $100 for her to take the baby out for their own Valentine's Day. I would like to know in the timeline if we can find something what she was doing that day. I bet she wasn't even with the baby. I would like to look at that.
And so, wait, I wrote down here something about...
I bet I paid for their date.
What's that?
I bet I paid for her date that night.
Could have. Well, you said she was dating someone or dating multiple.
Well, you know, it's funny.
Or...
She was actually dating, again, the real baby daddy after the baby was born, 2 months before that?
Yeah.
So maybe I was paying for their dinner. I don't know.
Are they still together? Or
no, they're doing play dates now.
Okay, so it's
Whatever
like
that is.
co-parenting kind of.
We don't know.
Manipulation. I promise.
Do you think from the beginning he knew
Yes.
that it was
Yeah.
his kid?
Yes.
Think. Can't prove.
I can't prove that. So
Right. What if you talk to him though? Like if
okay, hear me out.
sure.
Whenever I found out in August the baby wasn't mine, Hadley and we told my mom, we kept this secret for a month and a half before we did anything, even talked to a lawyer. We could have taken this secret to the grave of no one needs to know, we all love the baby. And I considered it. We all did. And it was, at the time, maybe the right thing to do. And what really shifted my mind frame there, because it ultimately came down to me, I started to think about how bad my parents were crying and upset, and then how upset I was. I thought about the real dad and the real grandparents, how much of 2.5 years they've missed out on this beautiful child, and they'll never get that time back. The child is young enough at this point, she will probably forget all this. Why would I rob someone, a whole entire family, of a lifetime of memories that, she can basically start now and build with? I mean, it happens all the time, but I see it all the time. I know 2 people personally that later in life, they did Ancestry.com and they found out that their real dad wasn't theirs. It's devastating no matter what age you are. But I think it's a given, just human right that everyone should know who their biological grandparents are. I mean, think about just medical reasons. Like what if I'm predisposed to cancer? Like, you never know, but you need to know who your real parents are, no matter who they are.
Mm. Was any of the harassment directed at your parents?
Yes.
Or the abuse?
Yes.
Nasty messages?
She would threaten nasty messages to my parents. She would threaten to not let my parents see them.
Yeah.
And I mean, my parents, they were there every weekend. They were there for everything. Because even whenever she wouldn't let me see them, she would be like, I'll let your parents have them initially. Yeah. But you have to stay at your parents' house. I'm a grown man. I'm having to be told I have to stay at my parents' house and do this, this, and this. And, I own houses, paid full. Like, I'm being told where I have to stay in order to see my child, and I'm complying. Right. I'm listening. I'm like, okay, I want to see my daughter. And then whenever she starts telling them that they can't see her and, they have weekends planned with her and, Brett's in town. Actually, I'm not going to let y'all see her anymore because I don't want Brett anywhere around her. I'm going back and taking full custody.
And were these also typically coinciding with shakedowns for more money?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wait, question. When it came to your parents, you have any siblings, brothers?
I have 2 older brothers.
How old are they? How much older are they
Oh
then?
God, I got to think of how old I am. I got to think. I have a
Yeah,
tattoo.
28.
I'm 28.
Okay. Wait, is that actually to remind you?
So we like the Zach Bryan song, 28.
Okay.
We love the song.
Yeah.
And we have a few matching tattoos now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yes,
she
I got
Hadley
you all
drew
that.
this one on me.
For his
Okay.
on his
And it was my
birthday.
28th birthday.
Okay.
And we love the songs. And like now this year I get the reference because I always forget. How old am I? But my brothers are 30 and 31.
Do they have kids?
Yes, my oldest brother has 3 little girls.
Okay. But he had his kids before you? Well, you didn't have a kid, but
All of them. All of them were.
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say that if it was the case that, like, say your not kid, I guess, was the first kid.
No, it would be the 4th
And, like,
grandchild.
Okay, so I guess silver lining, that would have been pretty nasty to be like, oh, I'm a grandparent, but actually, like, to rob them of the.
It doesn't matter if it's
that.
your 1st or 10th. You
Yeah.
love all the kids
Sure.
the same, grandkids the same.
Sure.
What Maria did was basically rob grandparents and a father of having a child and grandchild. And the only way to process that is exactly like grief. And to do that to someone when you're living in the same town is just so incredibly it's not human.
Yeah.
And now that we've proved that she knew the whole time, it just goes to show exactly who that person is. And she
Yeah.
doesn't care about anyone aside from, controlling the narrative and get what she wants out of something.
Yeah, I mean, how do you develop a relationship and love for a child or a grandchild, and then this sort of.
What you have to do as an adult, what's the right thing to do? Like I said, I thought about the other grandparents and parents, and I could have been selfish and never told anyone. But at some point, you have to stand up and you deal with that heartbreak because it's the right thing to do.
Sure.
They don't see it that way, and it put a burden on me and my parents and how they and I's relationship for a very long time.
At what point did you two start dating? Was it?
So I think that's kind of like the missing context. So like I have 3 kids myself, and I've been through custody battles. So we met in March of last year, so 2024, and then we didn't find out that the baby wasn't yours until August. But that's whenever things started to get bad, because she would say like, "Oh, you can't see the baby," and I'm like, "Literally, she can't do that. Like, y'all have a court order." So like, because I had actually been to court before,
Yeah.
I would be like, okay, no, like that, she can't do that. And then she'd be like, I want more money. And I would say, just tell her no. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to send it. Like, you can just say no. And that's whenever things, like, unfortunately really started to escalate.
Yep, and that's when, the documentation, like, thank God for Hadley. We met in March, and, I think it was very into April whenever we went to Mexican with my mom. We go every Thursday. We've been doing it for like 10 years. So like it's a sacred thing for me and my mom. And it was, around the time me and Hadley decided to get serious, started dating. And my mom shows a text like, "Oh, this is from Maria." And I've been protecting Hadley from Maria's, craziness.
Wrath.
She didn't
Yeah.
know yet. And at this point, Hadley's like, "I want to meet her. I want to be friends with her. Like, I want to co-parent, blah, blah, blah." And my mom shows this text. She's like, Brett's not allowed to see her anymore. And Hadley's like, hang on, she can't do that. And me and my mom were like,
At first I was like, wait, so is there like supervised visits? Have you done something? Because like, I don't know you that well at that time. I'm like,
Yeah, correct.
What is this? And then you start showing me the court documents, and I'm like, okay, so she can't tell you where to stay. If y'all don't have supervised visits, she can't do that. She can't hold the child from you. Like, are you up to date on child support? Yes, I am. Let me show you. Like, she cannot do that.
I didn't know any of this. And my mom didn't either.
Y'all didn't, to be fair. And she would just keep saying, I'll take the child from you. And I'm like, okay, then just tell her fine. Like, let's go to court. Because the fact of the matter is that you only have June, but you are actually having her every other weekend. So it's likely that what's going to happen is the court's going to say, okay, y'all been doing every other weekend. That's what we're going to put into writing. and then she can't do this at all.
Yep. And that's when we started, like, okay, if she's not going to let me see her, like, after this, I paid like another month or two, and then she's, upset about me dating Hadley. I mean, you saw what happened with just the random February 14th date. I'm now dating someone that, is incredibly serious at this point, and I'm bringing, the baby around Hadley, and she hates it. So she really starts withholding the baby. Then the threats really started, picking up, and that's when her friends started attacking Hadley on her public page and making threats and just screaming false narratives, saying I'm a deadbeat, I don't pay child support. And this whole time, she's not letting me see the baby. So for 2 months, up until before I did the first paternity test, we're gearing up for court, I stopped paying child support. We have this agreement. She says I'm not allowed to see her. I was like, you can't do that. But she's demanding money still. So I said, if you're not going to honor your side, I'm not going to do my side.
So you stopped paying. Question, when, so they went public first.
Absolutely.
And was it, you mentioned the attacks on Hadley. Was that the first time it kind of went public, or was it?
I think she'd been doing it for a while. I didn't know.
Like the Facebook posts and stuff?
Yeah, I didn't actually know until June of last year, June 2024. I was on a bachelor trip, and, I'm just, doing my own thing. It's Father's Day weekend. I book a flight home early to make sure I can be there. And she commented something, and my brother said, like, quit talking shit, man. Because she was attacking me online, like doing like subtext. And then in the comments, that's when my grandma got involved. She said that I stick my dick in anything that walks. I'm going to abandon any other child that I'm ever involved with, and just all these horrible things. And Hadley's like, my best friend reaches out to Hadley. He's like, hey, you see what they're saying about Brett? And she sees it, and this is like, at this point she knows that's not who I am.
Well, I mean, it's like she's commenting saying he hasn't seen his child in months, and I'm like, I have a picture on my camera roll of us with the child 3 days ago. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's one point where you're like, okay, like there's two sides to every story, and then you're like, what is this? Like, I literally have a picture of my kids with the child 3 days ago. So like, what? You
She's
can't
just lying.
months? Like what?
Just
like,
lying.
Yeah.
The line would never stop, and no one ever called her on her bullshit before. So at this point, I'm just like, I don't care, like whatever. I have the flight booked, and they're actually, I get back that weekend. I fly in early so I can have the baby. Text, call Maria a bunch of times. Nothing. Won't let me see her for Father's Day, and it's my court mandated month.
Yeah.
So I can't even see her on Father's Day. When just 2 weeks before that was the Lowe's incident. And that was my mandated month. She's begging for money early. I couldn't see her until I paid her. I get her for the day. I call her at Lowe's and like, hey, I bought her new clothes for school tomorrow. Can she stay the night with us? Are you with Hadley? I was like, yeah. Immediately, that's when snapped. And that's when she started, sending. Actually, this is Hadley was like, hey, I heard her on the phone yelling at me. She's like, hang up, text her, get this documented. Because she knew about the court agreement, and this is when it's my time. So she's like, she can't do this. Like, you could show this in court. Don't give her, don't just give in. And before, I didn't know that. So, thank God for you being able to like point that out, because I would still probably be in this if it wasn't for Hadley.
Got it. Wow. It's, the whole thing's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just insane. I wanted to go back, though, to some of her public statements. So she was, essentially, it sounds like she was just calling you a deadbeat?
Deadbeat,
pretty much.
Didn't care about the kid, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
And these were they on any of you? Because I know you guys both do social media stuff. Were they making comments on your guys' content? And
so yeah, they're doing their own personal, or I guess public, and everything they've ever posted, they claim friends and family only. Every one of theirs are public, and they have more friends and followers than I did. I didn't do social media at the time, but they were attacking Hadley, and this is Hadley's career, and Hadley has done nothing to them. She wanted to be friends with them. And just because they're seeing me slip away and be happy with someone else, they start attacking the person that I'm with in hopes that it breaks us up or does whatever. But they're trying to tarnish Hadley's image by publicly commenting and then trying to twist the narrative. And I make a post.
Well, so they were commenting publicly on my post. So we weren't even like publicly dating yet. So like no one even knew that I was dating anyone. I was keeping it a secret.
Right.
And I'm getting comments from posts saying like, I tell your boyfriend to pay child support. And I'm thinking, I just watch him pay child support. I don't know how women like you find deadbeats attractive. You're so embarrassing. Like, why don't you tell your followers that you're dating a deadbeat? Like, just all of this stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I would just delete it and move on. Like, but it was stressful because I get so many comments that I can't, patrol them all and like delete them all. So I don't see them until people who do follow me start commenting and tagging me and being like, Hadley, what's this about? And like liking them. So I don't even know how many there were, but I wouldn't see them until people who follow me did see them and were like concerned.
It's, you know what? We actually have some of the text messages. They're a little bit out of order, but I think it'd be worthwhile to take a look at them. So go on over to the window tab, and we'll just look at the first one that we have. All right. Okay. So this is the web of lies.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there. You guys have done some fantastic infographics and research on this, by the way. So let's go over to the next tab. Okay. So this is one of her, this is her post on like Facebook or something, or maybe Instagram, that she's pregnant.
So I can give you the significance of this and why it's highlighted.
Sure.
She was contacting my parents. Me and her weren't talking during the whole pregnancy. The day right there highlighted, February 23rd, 2022, she has never made one public announcement ever that she's pregnant. She had 2 baby showers, nothing.
Mm.
That same day, I book a flight home from California 2 weeks before the birth, $670
To be there at the birth.
to be there for the birth. And that's when she first announces 8.5 months pregnant and then puts my last name in it.
Got it. Damn. It's crazy. Next. Okay, there's that next. Okay, so here's some of the messages. So she says, "You're an effing dick, Brett. Won't reach out again. Just make sure you're paying me on the first. Have a good one." You respond, "I was going to pick blank up from daycare and go do something cool with her." And by the way, this is you being the bigger person, just completely ignoring the insult, just, keeping it strictly business.
I just want to see
you're not gonna say anything nasty back. It's just crazy. I mean, I think men who've maybe had these sort of experiences, maybe they just dated somebody like this, and it's just terrible. But don't pick her up until 2 p.m. after her nap. Have her home to me when I get out of practice tonight at 8:45. I'll drop her book bag off at school. It's just kind of like very like that second portion there of her message to you. It's very bossy, it's not there's like a kind of a polite diplomatic way to ask somebody to do something, and it's just like she's trying to be a boss to you. Next. And it's effing bizarre to me that you can flaunt your social life and this girl on social media, but there's literally nothing of your daughter. I hope she realizes how big of a loser you are. I try not to say anything, but I feel like you need to know how much terrible you look. Maybe this is why I thought there might have been a language barrier. Well, remember you were never here. Could have taken your daughter out for Valentine's Day. Oh, so this is when you were in Chicago.
This is the Chicago day.
Okay, so I mean, you were in Chicago, how could you have done that? You're never here for her. Grow up soon, Brett. I won't hesitate to take her. I won't hesitate to take her from you. Do better. I'm not letting you make me feel like my daughter's not good enough for you anymore. I'm sick of it. I don't give a shit about your money. Okay.
That's a lie.
Yeah. We can and will survive without you. Okay. You keep this up, Brett, and I will not let you see her anymore. Honestly, I wish you never came back into the picture. Didn't she ask you to be in the picture? Okay. I am so over it. Have a great rest of your trip. My confusion here is we can and will survive. You keep this up, Brett, and I will not let you see her anymore.
Keep what up?
Yeah, that's what I was. Keep what up?
I thought I was going to be single forever. I was never going to be able to explain this to someone, how my life is being dictated. I can't live here. I can't do this. I have to abide by this rule, this timeline. I mean, that's whenever I met Hadley. Like, I met her at the gym, and I did some stupid thing at the bottle cap. I was like, hey, I got the bottle. I went and bought one. I didn't need it. And I was over there in front of her. She was on the treadmill. I was trying to open it up. I was like, ugh. Can you open this for me? And that's how we started talking.
Okay.
But there was just something in me that day. I was like, normally I wouldn't go just talk to a stranger. I'm not a person that talks to people in the gym.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? Today, I just had that itch in me. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to send it, And we start talking on the treadmill, and I just very quickly, the 60-second version, like I did in the beginning of the show. Hey, I have this kid, blah, 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 blah.
You asked me on a date. You asked me to be your wedding to a date that night.
Yeah, I had a wedding that night, and I was like, hey, okay, my wedding date?
And I was like, I can't deny I have kids, and I'm kind of dating, but I'm only gonna date other single parents, and so that's kind of how it got into.
I was like, oh,
okay, all right,
yeah. So you kind of told me, but then you tell me the situation. It's weird, and I think that's what's really important here is that you were it's really weird, but hey, I love my child. It's great. I'm making the best of it, and I'm like, cool, good, get it. I'm going through a divorce. I totally get where you're this is not an ideal situation, but love my kids, making the best of it. I got it. I was just okay, yep, weird situation, but you love your kid. Cool, we're good.
Yeah. So let's go back really quick to the you keep this up. So this is just when she says keep this up, she's referencing the Chicago lunch date.
Yes.
And that's what she's gonna take your kid away from you for.
Yeah,
that's
so
wild.
then a month later, that's when me and Hadley first initially meet. So
right.
I'll keep it up.
Okay. Let's do next. Groceries, diapers, wipes. Why is this an issue? I'm asking you to send money early because I needed it. Do you think I will ask you if I didn't? The move was kind of expensive. I simply asked for your help. Why is this complicated when you're going to Vegas to fuck off? I'm not stupid. The last time you went to Chicago, going for business, not pleasure, you were posting pics of your little girlfriend, probably paying for all of her shit. But I asked you to help me with Blake. Oh, and you can't do that. You said, I've decided to take you to court for child support, and my lawyer will reach out to you. I didn't want this to blindside you. I would like to do this without going to court, and we can agree on a number, health insurance, life insurance, extracurricular activities, college, etc. You won't have to get a lawyer. We can just go through mine if we can agree on terms. Okay, would you be interested in having a conversation with me about this, or do you want to speak to my lawyer instead? She sends you some images there. This is uncontested, where we don't have to go before a judge. If we can agree, please let me know what you want to do. And so this is, you want to speak to, okay, next. This is something else. She says she's going to stop by Popeyes.
I was babysitting that night.
Okay. Sorry if I say moody. I just had the shittiest day ever. I want to try and make it work with us being a family. Can we do that? I want to be with you, Brett. I hate when you leave us. I just need you to say something or how you feel about that. And you said, I'm sorry, but that isn't what I want to do. That hurts. So, despite the arrangement that you guys had, she's saying, hey, I want to be together.
Correct. It was this weird dynamic where if I wasn't paying her, or if I didn't come see her, back to the, the christening thing, it would be, you're going to get your rights taken away. You won't see your child. at this point, like, I'm starting to get fed up. I'm like, you saw the last message. I said, no, like, I'm not paying you early. I think that was the month where I paid her early, like 26 days early. I was like, I just paid you. No, like, not doing that. And then she's saying, let's be a family. I'm like, no. Like, I'm slowly easing into getting fed up and starting to stand up for myself.
Let's pull it back up. Next one. And it's bizarre to me. Oh, I think we read this one, right?
Yeah.
Send that so I can run over there and pay this. Paid for it already. Please send that money when you can. Why do I have to keep texting you about this? This is the shit that pisses me off. I try to get along with you, and you do shit like this. Stop intentionally ignoring me, or this co-parenting thing will never effing work. Now, please send me the money. I've asked you to send 1,000,000 effing times. Jesus effing Christ.
I paid her March 1st, by the way.
Yikes. Wait, so that was...
I paid March 1st.
Oh, and then this is her wanting money earlier.
Yeah.
And then I paid for the birthday party,
Uh-huh.
the $364. And
Okay.
then a day or two after, asking for me to pay the child support payment for April 26 days early.
Got it. But I mean, that's in contravention of your parenting agreement that you have. But
I want to see my kid.
yeah. Next. Groceries. Oh, I think we did this. Oh, wait, no, go back. But at the very bottom, it says, I hope you effing die.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's the one that we need to not.
Yeah. But it did say, we won't go back to it, but it did say, she wrote you, I hope you effing die. That seems pretty inappropriate to say to somebody,
I've had this so many times, and my mom, actually, I think it was in June of 24 or somewhere around that time, Maria had threatened to, for the last time, take the baby away from my parents. And my mom sent a long text and absolutely just reamed Maria and told her exactly the truth of what she's been doing. And, that message my mom says, you've wished Brett dead 1,000,000 times. Like, he is doing everything you asked. You're bending him backwards, whatever she said. And it was the first time that my mom has ever, really stood up to her. And I don't even think Maria replied to that, just ignored it.
And, these are just a small sampling of some of the messages that you received. I'm assuming there's a lot more that we're not seeing in terms of the abusive language that she's hurling towards you, insults, name calling, this sort of thing. Is there anything else that isn't that we haven't pulled up in terms of the things that she would say to you that you're able to share? Or...
You remember her name?
Not that I can think. I mean, I
We
feel
were
like
pretty-
it was pretty. That was pretty par for the course, and I mean, I would see it too whenever she would come and drop her off of this very demanding,
I wonder if I could pull any up.
Kind
Just a whole
of,
tab for it. Oh, God.
personality, and yeah, I mean that's kind of how it was. And being a mom myself and someone who's been through custody things, I knew what was and wasn't allowed. And so whenever she's saying oh, I'm gonna go back to court, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and I'm like, okay, well, you got text messages, you can show stuff, and the judge is not gonna like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely in terms of having a diplomatic and amicable relationship with the co-parent, and then just for the sake of the child too, that sort of conflict between parents is not healthy, and that seems like it was entirely one-sided on her end, just the hurling insults and just saying completely inappropriate things. Massive book, by the way. Huge book. It's good.
There's so much. It's like hard to
The
keep
chat's
track.
in love with it. They love the book. They love the binder.
I was trying to find that message my mom sent to her. Maria texts Suzanne. Oh, we took him out.
We took it out.
I took him out for court, but we put him in the videos.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which part it was, but
Yeah, there's just, I mean, a whole bunch of pretty nasty. Do you know which part? We might be able to pull it up. There's one of the parts where you show at the very beginning just like snippets of some of the messages she sent you. Do you know what part that is? I can maybe have something pulled
That would have
up.
been part, what would that have been, 8 or 9?
Okay, I can try to look on our end if we can pull that up. Let's just finish up the texts though, if you can pull the rest up. Wait, was there one previous or did you? Zoomed out? Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Have her at daycare at 8:30. If you have 10 minutes, we should talk. Call me. Can I? For Sarah's daughter, they never miss blank.
oh, this
So
is
the
actually.
I was gonna say the context of this was that we were in the Bahamas for my brother's wedding, and that was like planned. So his parents were gonna keep her for his weekend because
Yeah.
we planned that for months. And so she sends this text, and so he's like, "Fine, whatever, you can have her." Like it was just gonna be my parents anyway. And then she texts your mom immediately and is like, I cannot believe that your son would like choose his girlfriend over his child. Like, how do y'all all sleep at night? And it's like, what in the world? Like, and that's when your mom responded and was like, look, like you would have gone out of town for weddings tons of times, and I keep the child, and he goes out of town once in 3 years for a wedding, and you're all of a sudden he doesn't care about his child at all. That's when your mom like finally responded.
Yeah.
Next one.
Oh, that's it.
How do you not see what I'm talking about? How does your son sleep at night? He skips town on the weekend. Oh, this is okay.
This Maria sent this
He
to
should
my
have.
mom.
He should have had his daughter. He chose his girlfriend over his daughter. This is so sickening, and I don't understand how you defend him. I'm going back to court for full custody in hopes he'll sign his rights over. It is really sad it has come to all of this. I just hope you wake up and realize your son has never made daughter a priority in his life. And wow. That's just, it's a despicable thing to say, despicable thing to send to your mom, your parents. Let's see the next one. Can I be there? Oh, this is the Lowe's thing.
Yeah.
Next one. Okay. Still Lowe's. Oh wait, can you go back? It's, here, I'll let you do it while we're back here. I'm trying to find, maybe we'll do some more of the text, but I guess moving forward in the whole story, I think we're getting to the paternity test component. So why don't you tell us about that?
So I quit paying, and these threats keep ensuing that she's going to take the baby. So at one point we're at dinner with some friends, and I mentioned there's someone else is talking when their baby was born. I was like, my baby was born on her due date, and Hadley hears that, and she's a nurse, doesn't say anything then. But I think that night at midnight, she was going through my Facebook post, and she started doing the math on it, because I pretty well documented my life, and she's like, hey, the next day, I don't think those dates add up. And I was like, oh, yeah, they do. It's too close to even consider. And, we're still going through this. And I was like, look, it's definitely my kid. And then me and Hadley were sitting on the couch one day. She's like, look, just in case, we should talk about this. Because at this point, we've ordered the test and done the first one. And it was just
Swab, but not gotten the results.
Yeah, I did the swab test. It's, cheek swabs on me and the child, and you seal them and mail them off. I did it myself. And then, as we're sitting here waiting for the test, we're kind of just joking around about some other stuff, and I was like, hey, just, I want to talk about this real quick. We came to this decision as single parents, and I don't want to, this change anything. If it does, I don't want to hold you back just in case you do want your own kids.
Well, okay. No. Okay. So my concern is that it was going to come out not to be yours, and then it was obviously going to be devastating, and that was going to be the wrong time for me to be like, hey, what about us? Like, are we okay? Like, how does this, like, what's going to happen with us? Because we were both single parents. I was like, hey, like, let's talk about this now before we get the results of, like, what will this mean for us if they come back that you're not the dad? And, like, all of a sudden we went into this relationship as two single parents, and now, like, technically only one of us has kids. And, like, are you going to want to date a single mom? Are you going to be like, I want to go have more biological kids? And I wanted you to know up front, like, I'm not going to have any more kids. So, like, if that is what you want, I don't want to be, like, sitting back here for months, like, questioning and wondering, like, what does this mean for us? And it's obviously not appropriate for me to be like, hey, sorry you're going through something super devastating, but, like, what about me?
And my response was to reassure her. I was like, babe, chill. 100%, this is my kid. And just craziest coincidence ever, bing, I get a notification, email. And I don't even say anything to Hadley. We're laying there, I'm laying in her lap, open my phone, open the email. And my hands are like shaking saying this, but I open the email and I'm reading it. And it's the first paternity test we ever did. And right there in the middle of the page, it says probability of, paternity is 0%. So I'm like scanning it really fast and I'm just dead quiet and I feel ghost white. I feel like weightless. And I look at Hadley and I'm like, I'm not the dad. And she grabs my phone. She's like, you're reading it wrong. There's no way you're reading it wrong. She's like scanning it, going back and forth. And I forget what you said, but I know we called my mom immediately after, and my mom was yelling. She didn't believe it. There's no way. Those tests are wrong. Those things are never accurate. You can't do it. You can't even do it at-home paternity test. And that's when the fallout of all that started.
Do we have I think we have a photo of it,
We should,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I might have to, let's see. Mary, if you're able to open all those photos that we have, and not the internet page, but the photos, just start, what's it called? Scrolling through them and try to find the paternity one. And we'll pull that up once you get to it. So you took 3 different paternity tests, is that right?
Correct.
Total.
Yep.
3 total.
3 total, 2 at home. First one, I didn't want to believe. And then up until the second test, I've been doing research on it. Everything you could possibly read on paternity test. Mm-hmm. They don't come back wrong.
Right.
It's incredibly rare.
Yeah. But you got the second one just to make sure.
The second one was for my parents. At this point, after everything I've read, I'm starting to believe it. And the second one, my parents, they weren't there for the first one. They want to see it be done, blah, blah, blah. So my mom actually brings the baby down, and we do the second test and we record it. And, a few days later, we get the results back 0%. So now that's when we start trying to decide what we should do. Should we keep it a secret? What do we do? It comes down to me deciding that, I want to rob someone else of a child. And then we hire a lawyer. I start, weighing my options. The lawyer thinks I can sue for fraud and deceit and get my money back. I know she doesn't have any money because you see on the text, she's begging me for money almost every day. But the lawyer throws in there, he's like, look, we can just scare her with this. I want you to get your name off the birth certificate, no more child support, and change the last name. That's all I wanted. And we file for that and wait for her to get served. And the server calls me and lets me know that she's been served. We had made a video, a few days before, just in case she didn't reach out.
Well, no. So you were afraid she was going to start twisting the narrative again.
Well, yeah, that's.
So you had something like ready to go to tell people, but you asked me before then, like, how would you react? Like, you didn't know if you wanted to post a video or not.
I didn't even want to say anything.
Yeah.
But I did it just because of all this time. And this is like a month and a half in of me knowing. I know what she's going to do now because I'm looking back at all this stuff that she's done to me already, lying about me. So I was like, look, I want to record something and just tell my truth. And whenever she gets served, I ask Hadley, how would you feel if someone served you that paperwork? Because at this time, we don't 100%, we don't know if she knew the entire time.
Yeah.
And Hadley said that if my baby daddy sent me some paperwork like this, I would immediately call him, tell him to get his ass down here and do a DNA test in front of me, because I know he is the father of my children. We waited. Nothing. She never calls. Doesn't do anything, and I know she's been served. The guy calls me. He said he served her. She had a look on her face like, oh, fuck. We waited several hours. Nothing. So I was like, you know what? I'm posting the video. She's not going to call me and explain herself. I'm telling my truth before she can twist anything. And that's how that started in October.
And that was after you got the two.
That was the two at-home DNA tests. It was
then,
enough to go to court with a filing.
And then you got one through the court where they administer it. Is that correct?
Again, if I was her, I would have been like, okay, these are false. You know, I know you're the baby daddy. Let's do a court order one so I know you can't tamper with them, because that was their initial response. That's when they started attacking and twisting the narrative. Oh, that was, Hadley's kid's DNA. It could have been anyone's. Blah, blah, blah. Hadley tampered with the DNA test. She's a nurse.
Yeah.
So we get back in town. They do emergency ex parte restraining order. And I have to show up and, I hire a lawyer. I have to defend myself. And we get in there, and the lawyer on her side asks, hey, can we seal this case? Let's make this a permanent restraining order. We don't want anything on social media. He can't talk about it to third parties, blah, blah, blah. Judge hits the gavel. That's it. I'm looking at my lawyer like, fucking say something.
Yeah.
And thank God she said, wait, Judge, excuse me, Your Honor, can we at least get a court order DNA test requested? And the judge looks at Maria's lawyer. Maria looks at her. Maria's lawyer responds, no, we don't oppose. So I'm like, oh, thank God. I know how this is going to come back. And we got the court order DNA test from my request. So we do the DNA test a few days later, and whenever those come back, still matching the first two, 0% paternity. And even then, after all of that, she's still reaching out to my parents saying, the child misses you so much, you're their favorite grandparent, just using a child as a pawn, and even try to give my dad, also a contractor, a big job at her apartment complex, and be like, the child's going to be there, she misses you so much. So after all of this, she's still trying to manipulate people, and even up until Valentine's Day this year, before I was speaking again, she was still posting online. Actually, when I had these people that she goes to for cosmetic stuff, she posted online that Mama, or Happy Valentine's Day, child, Mommy and Daddy will always love you. Maybe not Daddy so much, but Mommy always will. So she's still trying to act like
I have friends calling being like, oh, so he is the dad and he's just abandoning this child, Hadley dumped him. And I'm like, what? No, he's not. Well, we've known he hasn't been for months.
So now we're 3/4 way into this binder, putting it together. And then I'm like, okay, we have court next month. Now I'm really just getting pissed off. She's still trying to twist the narrative. And at this point, we know who the real baby daddy is. We know she's already reached out to him. We know she's doing play dates, and she's still trying to make this she's saying, Daddy might not. When I know she's with the real dad doing play dates, so she's still trying to publicly defame me. So when we go back to court, and I'm still not able to talk again. I'm like, you know what? Fuck, I'm talking anyways. I don't care what happens. No one's twisting my narrative and my story and trying to threaten me ever again.
It's we actually, I think, were you able to find it, Mary, the paternity test results? Is this
That's
one
the
from the court?
Lab.
This is the first one you took?
Yeah.
Or okay.
These people were great. They gave the results in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Is there another one? Is it? Okay.
Yeah, we did this one, and then we went. I think a DoorDashed or something. A Walgreens fraternity
Yeah,
one.
you did. Yeah.
There's
took a little bit longer.
tab over one. I think it should be the next one. Is this the
That's the Walgreens one.
That's,
Yeah.
that's Walgreens one.
Walgreens one? Oh, what the? Okay, I don't know what that is.
That was
Look at
something
that.
her cousin uploaded.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
That was around the time she asked me to be a sperm donor. So like those are those weekends like I was thinking about.
Okay, got it. Okay. Well, we have the two. We saw the two paternity tests. They both came back. 0 probability that you're the father. You are not the father. And so you filed this lawsuit against her. Is there any update there? Or?
Yeah. So we went to court last Tuesday, I believe, or the week before. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
April 1st, April Fool's Day. We
Yeah.
went to court, and I testified for 6 hours straight. I brought the binder, and lawyers being lawyers, they got some stuff, not able to admit, like all the text messages. We were in court, and
You can't admit the text messages, or?
lawyers being lawyers, they were able to block some of the stuff,
Okay.
and I wasn't able to get the text messages in. And whenever my lawyer hands her lawyer the text messages of all those things, I hope you fucking die, Brad, I'm on the stand saying, is there ever an instance where she's verbally abused you? I'm like, yeah, she told me to go fucking die multiple times. You're never going to see the kid again. Her lawyer's like, she would never say that. Texts get thrown out, whatever. They do a cross-examine on me, and after 6 hours of testifying, just me, Maria didn't get on the stand. The judge comes to the conclusion that I will definitely not be getting any money back. The $52,000, I don't have enough for fraud. So I forget, it was Chancery or Civil Court, you almost never win those because there's the law in Mississippi states that if you are committing fraud, there's 9 different points under the definition of fraud that you have to hit. And it's almost impossible to hit all 9. And I remember them being like, whenever they're cross-examining me, they asked, did you know you were being frauded from the beginning? And I was like, no. And one of those 9 points that they say in the fraud law, there's nothing actually for paternity law at all in Mississippi. So that's what I'm hoping to change here. Anyways, the judge said, okay, clearly you have enough here to get off the birth certificate. You're not the father. You've proved that today. And that is incredibly hard to do. It's almost impossible. So whenever the baby was born, you signed the birth certificate that day at the hospital. I didn't know that. There's also another form you sign called Acknowledgement of Paternity. And it states that you have 1 year to do a paternity test, and after that, it's like whenever the baby was born, you waive your rights forever. It's like you were married at the time of the birth. It's 2.5 years in, and their lawyers making this case, didn't you sign this paperwork? And I'm looking at it like, I did. Yeah, I did. I don't even remember that. I don't remember signing anything that day. I'm holding a new baby. I think it's mine. I'm just, whatever. I got a baby in my hands. And that was their argument. And that is the only way to get off the birth certificate is to prove fraud. I am not on the birth certificate anymore. I'm not paying child support. That would have been an extra $200-something thousand. It is an incredible win.
Yeah.
And that is their last little argument. That's why this is the first time anyone's heard it. They're saying that, Brett lost in court because I didn't get my $52,000 back. Her broke ass would never be able to pay me $52,000 back. I just wanted a judgment back. I wanted for her to have that hanging over her head. I knew I would never get it. I never initially wanted it, but it would have been a nice little cherry on top. Me proving fraud, almost impossible to do. With this book, where I was able to do that in the court of law, and their only argument is, we didn't have to pay him back the $52,000. Let's celebrate. We won. You didn't win anything, Maria. You won absolutely nothing. All you did was rob 2 families of a child.
And you out of money.
me out of money, and now I know that you're probably being deceptive or trying to manipulate other people and con them into doing whatever and need more money. It's so unfair. I feel bad for everyone that's going to be involved with her after the fact. But for me, moving on, I would like to be able to protect people in the future and make sure that paternity fraud is a case that is heard and seen, because it happens way more often than you think. The amount of DMs I have this week with people reaching out saying, something similar happened to me, or I'm going through it right now, and there's absolutely nothing you can do for it. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for me speaking up right now and me trying to reach out, and I actually have a meeting set next week with Mississippi policy lawmakers. I'm going up to the state capitol, and we're going to talk about some policy change, because it is incredibly unfair. It just needed the light to be shown upon it.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And I think when it comes to the paternity fraud thing, it's devastating in so many different ways, because there's the financial component of having to pay child support, but also I think perhaps the greater toll is even in situations where the mother is reasonable, the sort of emotional toll that it's going to take on somebody to be like, I'm sure you had a bond with what you thought was your daughter, your parents developed this bond, and then it's like, I've been deceived, I've been lied to. And then add on top of that, though, just her hurling insults and the verbal abuse, emotional abuse. I don't know if it would constitute financial abuse, basically like, pay me or you don't get to see the kid. I'd consider that financial abuse, but
I think it's robbery. It's deceit, and it's fraud. That's what's so crazy about the definition.
Yeah.
She meets every context of it, in my opinion, but this crazy law, subjects men to never being able to recover and recoup their money. It's so rare that anyone ever gets paid back money. And honestly, it's a lot of times that women like this, they just abuse men for money. It's a piggy bank. It's a free ride to the, do whatever you want. It's not about the child at all. It is all about, what can I take from this man? And it's just every single man that has to go through someone like this, the child is the one who is being neglected and hurt.
Yeah.
As a man, you can take it. Like, it sucks, but you deal with it. There's really nothing you can do. You want to be there. You want to still pay for the child to have a good life. The child needs both mother and father in their life, and no one should ever dictate how much a father or a mother could be able to see their child. I don't care if you're, a murderer. It's your child. A child should know who their parent is exactly. And a child can base their decisions off, if they want to talk to them later on in life, whatever. They need to know there's both parents there, and if both parents are choosing to show up and love them, then they should be allowed to, no matter what the cost is.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. It sounds like a bunch of people have reached out to you. If I recall, you said you're meeting with policymakers in Mississippi to try to see if you can advocate for perhaps changes in the law, which I think would be fantastic and good groundwork for the rest of the country, because as far as I know, it's not just Mississippi. There's in all the other states, yep. There's not really much protections for fathers or for people who find themselves in a paternity fraud situation, and what's how do you resolve it? But just to be clear, the court case, that's resolved, that's over, and you're completely off the hook. Is that correct?
So as of now, last week after court, the restraining orders still were in play. And at this point, I was like, what? If I go to jail, because she filed for contempt because I wasn't allowed to post on social media or talk about it. And the entire time, I was quiet for 6 months building my case. We're doing research. She was messaging third-party accounts, and I addressed that in my videos. They were being fed lies by Maria, and I feel sorry for them for believing her and repeating those. And, 2 of the 3, the people that I called out, they did apologize. And they also admitted that Maria had been contacting them the entire time, which is also in contempt of our court order. And, Maria's crime canceled mine. I know I'm not going to jail now. I want her to just, drop this whole restraining order thing. I don't want to see her. I don't want to be around her, but also don't want to have my First Amendment rights, taken and try to be throttled and silenced. I hope those creators will reach out and send me what Maria had sent them, just as proof I can send to my lawyer, and hopefully we can resolve this.
I mean, yeah, it's just, it's crazy to me, though, that the judge or a court could say, you're not allowed to talk about it. That, to me, that's just doesn't make any sense. But
I think it's one of those things, like I've never been involved in court before.
Yeah.
And even if they did want to put me in jail and do whatever, make a lesson of this, I know that now I'm giving people a voice and reaching out and speaking up.
Yeah.
That I want to prevent this ever happening again to other people, because it's incredibly unfair. And it's just, people have a right to tell their truth. I'm not against, I'm all for people telling the truth, and spreading lies is just something that shouldn't be tolerated at all. Especially when people are spreading lies about you, you should absolutely be able to defend yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.